Alrighty, so we got about 10 minutes before the game between Saprissa and the Vancouver Whitecaps is over, at least in the first half. And I decided to do the review of yesterday's game right now instead of waiting to halftime because either way, I'm going to miss action in terms of that game. So hopefully, I can get this review done as quick as possible. So by the time the second half begins, I won't miss too much action. And also hoping that these last 10 minutes, there really isn't any big thing that happened in this game. But with that being said, let us talk about the first game. And what's interesting about these four games is that at least in the first board, there was pretty much no goal except for one that was scored here. The second board is where the goal, of course, was scored. And overall, the MLS team did really well yesterday, especially against Central American opposition. Well, every MLS team did well against Central American team except maybe Real Salt Lake. I mean, on paper, it's not a bad result for RSL to get a 0-0 draw, and all they need to do is win next week and then move on into the next round. But that being said, they didn't really look that good in this game against Heredino. And keep in mind, Heredino is actually doing very well in the Costa Rican League, and RSL still in pretty much in preseason mode for out this game. But that being said, they were once again toothless in this one. That's also one thing that they mentioned in the the game where the commentator mentioned that RSL has had their struggles when it comes to road CONCACAF games. I think they mentioned that the last two times when they go on the road to face against CONCACAF opposition, they didn't score a goal and make it three in a row now that they go on the road against CONCACAF opposition and getting shut out. Now, in the first half, Gonzalez would hit it wide off of a free header before the first shot for Heredino. Cede Rodriguez puts it wide from long range. The shot were one apiece, as I thought it was a bit of an even start after RSL looked promising in the first 5 minutes. Hernandez then heads it wide from close range. It was a shout for a penalty for RSL that was not given. Queros then puts it wide from long range. By the way, I'm gonna say this in advance. I do apologize if I mispronounce some of these Central American players' name because while I'm so used to pronouncing names for MLS team, I'm definitely not used to when it comes to these Costa Rican side. So apologies in advance if I completely butchered it. And I also thought that the game kind of started opening up, and again, it feels like it become a little bit end to end. It looked like it was going to be a bit of an exciting game. Spoiler alert, that wouldn't kind of be the case. That there were times where things were a little bit tight after that. Ojeda would then puts it just wide from long range as RSL continued to have possession, but they also got to watch out the transition for Heredino. I mean, there were a couple of times where Heredino looked really dangerous on the counter, and that's one of the things that the commentator also mentioned that Heredino, that's kind of the style that they wants to play. They're a team that use the transition very well. That's where they score most of the goal in league play, and they were looking for it in that time in the transitional moment. But that being said, what was also threatening was what happened in the 35th minute when Forster Ayago went through on goal there, but he was absolutely robbed by the Heredino goalkeeper Carver Hall, and that is one that Ayago will want to have back. I mean, he tried a 5-hole Carver Hall there, didn't quite work out, and that was probably by far the best chance of the game, and maybe even the best chance for RSL to score a goal in this one. But we do have to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Vega would hit it right to Cabral. There was a couple of half chances as both of these teams looking to get the opening goal, but really none that kind of trouble either goalkeeper. The shots were 11 to 3 for Heredino up to that point, so Heredino was really out shooting Real Salt Lake. But the problem was, despite the fact that they were out shooting Real Salt Lake, they weren't really getting a lot of shots on target. In fact, only 3 shots on target combined for both teams up to this point. Though in the 65th minute, we saw the closest that Heredino got the opening goal as a post denied Perez, and that was kind of the game's biggest chance, probably since the Iago missed. Speaking of Iago, he hits it right to Carvajal in the 70th minute before Gozo puts it high from close in the 71st. And I thought for once, RSL started to build some momentum. They were looking to try to get the opening goal. Junko would then had a header that was actually blocked off the line, and it actually went out. The goal and a goal kick is being called. That was the wrong call because that one was clearly off the line. I even wrote RSL got CONCACAF here in this moment. Won't be the first time we would see in yesterday action where a team get CONCACAF because the referee made the wrong call when it should have been a corner instead given as a goal kick. Amador would then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide, but that was pretty much it. In the end, it ends in a scoreless draw in this one. So at times, while it was kind of entertaining in terms of the end-to-end action we saw in the first half, it was relatively a dull game. And keep in mind, I didn't write too much notes as this game goes on because up to this point, there was 3 games that is happening at the same time. Shots in this one, 17 shots for the 7 that RSL had, 2 shots on goal for the 5 that Herodino has, 8 shots off target for the 2 that RSL had. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked, possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession RSL has in this game. So no doubt for RSL, they got more work to do. The frustrating thing about RSL is that they didn't get an away goal in this one, and as a reminder, unlike the Champions League, in UEFA, there is away goals in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So not getting an away goal, that could be huge too, because especially if the next game ended in a score draw, Herodino would move on into the next round instead of RSL. But we'll see whether or not if RSL can bounce back. Usually teams when they play at home that is MLS team, they should dispatch their CONCACAF opponent, especially Central American opponent. But RSL's got to figure out their attack a little bit. It looked really lifeless, and that's not a big surprise because that was a big question heading into this season with some of the pieces that they lost this off season. With that being said, moving on in the next one, and this of course is one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are keeping an eye on since it's not only an all MLS matchup, but it's Inter Miami versus Sporting KC. Everybody was asking whether or not if Messi is going to play and whether his friends are going to play. The answer is yes. And there was also a question: can Messi do it on a cold night in Kansas City? Well, we got an answer to that later in this game. But that being said, the kickoff temperature was 2 Fahrenheit. And I really think the reason why this game was delayed wasn't because of the cold, but because they said that there was a heavy snow forming previous night. That's why they decided to postpone this the other way. Though, that being said, I wish this game wasn't postponed. I mean, even if there was snow that was happening, I've seen snow game before. I love snow game, and that I feel like that was a big missed opportunity to do so. But at the same time, I can also understand why CONCACAF want that to be the case. If it gets bad enough, I mean that just feels like it's not that it's not safe condition in terms of playing games. So you could say that well maybe it's not safe condition to play in 2 degree weather at time, especially the real field was -7 Fahrenheit. But unlike Colorado, there was really no snow powder or ice on the pitch. Part of that is because the pitch at Children's Mercy Park is actually heated, unlike in Colorado where Dick's Sporting Goods Park pitch is not heated. And as we expected early on, Miami had all the possession. Sporting was just kind of electing to sit deep a little bit. Suarez did have the game's first shot, but he missed wide after just a bad giveaway from Sporting. So yeah, that is one thing that Sporting Casey cannot do. You cannot give the ball away against the likes of this Inter Miami team, especially with the attack that they have. Redondo would then puts it wide off of a weak shot before Allen would fires it high from long range in the 17th minute as Miami continued to pile on the chances. But the problem is they still haven't had a shot on goal up to this point. So while they're creating some dangerous chances, it's got to be frustrating if you're Javier Mascherano seeing your team not only being wasteful in front of goal, but not putting the shot on target. And I also thought that Sporting KC up to this point, they started to get themselves into this game. They weathered the early storm, started to have some possession and just trying to slow this game down. So that being said, in the 30th minute, we saw the first big opportunity by the GOAT. Messi puts it one over from long range before Alande would heads it high from the free kick in the 34th minute. The shots were 5-1 now up to this point for Miami, but the only shots on target actually belongs to Sporting KC. So yeah, Miami, despite the fact that they were really out shooting Sporting KC, they just could not put the ball on target. Suarez then missed wide on the curler in the 35th minute before Rosario would head it wide from the corner, and that is something that I think I'm going to be looking for a lot this season for Inter Miami because last season they were very bad when it comes to set piece defending. They were one of the worst team when it comes to set piece defending. Give up among the most goal from set pieces, especially from the corner out of any MLS team, and was really one of the big talking point of the reason why they were on the wrong end of the biggest upset in MLS playoff history, and it feels like it's kind of continued into this season. They weren't comfortable in terms of defending set piece whatsoever, and I think that's going to be another thing that maybe teams are going to really capitalize when they face against this Inter Miami side. Rodriguez then puts it wide off the back foot, but we do head to halftime with the scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, not much chances really create early in the second half. That all changed in the 55th minute because remember that question of can Messi do it on a cold night in Kansas City? Yeah, the answer is yes, because he scored here from Busquets to make it 1-0 in favor of Inter Miami. I mean, the commentators say that goal was made from Barcelona, and that's exactly what happened. What a beautiful ball that was from Busquets. Even a better first touch from the GOAT himself, and just coolly slots it home there. And I even wrote, yep, he indeed can do it on a cold night in Kansas City. The messing chant was definitely broke out at Children Mercy Park, and this is understandable. We're gonna see this throughout the season when Miami play on the road. There's going to be a lot of pink jersey and a lot of people there to see Messi, but that definitely doesn't mean that if you're a fan of the home team and you're cheering your home team, you're not going to be happy when the away team player and especially some of those so-called away fans are basically chanting on Messi name, and some Sporting KC fans kind of saw that because there were definitely chorus of boos that was rained down from the Sporting KC faithful. Post game then denied Alvarez from close range in the 59th minute. I didn't think post game had a bad game. He couldn't do anything in terms of the Messi chance as well. Though that being said, post game didn't really had a lot to do in this game as well. And then in the 63rd minute, Showery was in on goal here, but he hits one right to Ustavi. Yeah, that is one that Daniel Showery will want to have back. I even wrote, if Sporting KC have any chance in this two-legged affair, knowing they're heavy underdog, that has to be in the back of the net. Pico then clips one over from close in the 75th minute before Ustavi denied Tommy as the flag came up there in the 78th minute. And despite limited chances, I thought Sporting started to have started to get some momentum. They had their moments as well, and now they're kind of trying to press late to get the equalizer. Though that being said, in the first minute of stoppage time, Fafa Pico looked to finish it, but he puts it high in the first minute. But in the end, Inter Miami, they will be heading back to a much warmer conference known as Chase Stadium in just a week against Sporting KC with a 1-0 advantage. The shots in this one, 10 shots for the 7 that Sporting KC had, 3 shots on goal for the 2 that Inter Miami has, 3 shots off target for the 6 that Miami has, 2 shots on his block for the 1 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that Sporting KC has in this game. And the only good news I would say for Sporting KC, at least they kept it close in this one, but you just kind of had a sense that they had to at least get a lead or even play to a draw if they want to have a chance next week, because I have a feeling next week at Chase Stadium, not only in a warmer condition, a condition that Miami are much more suited, but something tells me that yeah, this is the Inter Miami team. They're gonna finish those chances that they missed. Some of those chances that they missed in the first half, I think, is just an example of a team trying to get themselves back to competitive edge. Because once they do so, and if Inter Miami is given the same amount of chances that we saw that Sporting KC gave them in the first half, this could be over relatively quickly heading into the second leg. With that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last two games to finish up this quick review of yesterday action in the CONCACAF Champions Cup involving MLS team. So now we're gonna get to games that actually feature some goals and actually see MLS team score a bunch of goals against their Central American slash Concacaf opponent. And we start off in the game between Antigua versus the Seattle Sounder. By the way, I was actually surprised to find out Antigua was actually a Guatemalan league. Consider Antigua is also a country in the Caribbean. But with that being said, in this game, I think the scoreline kind of doesn't really depict the fact that this was actually closer than what people indicate. In fact, I think both of these games, the scoreline kind of doesn't really tell the story of how the game goes, and especially the fact that yeah, there were a couple of times where Antigua had the moment against the Sounders, and that the Sounders were a little bit wobbly at time in this game as well. But what was not wobbly for them is them getting an early lead in this game, because it only took 3 minutes before we see their off-season signing immediately paid off. So the two big signing of Ariola and Fiera, well, they immediately combine into a goal scoring assist chart. It's Paul Ariola, the one that scored here from Jesus Ferreira, and just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of Seattle. A little fortunate there as well because it took a wicked deflection, but the Sounders wouldn't care. And really early on, it looked like this was going to be a laughter. Like Seattle was all over Antigua up to this point. We thought that we might be in for a game where we have seen before where MLS team has put the sword toward their opposition. But yeah, it turns out that that of course is not the case. Antigua started getting to this game. It started with Santis puts it wide from long range, as that was Antigua's first shot. And again, after a fast start, I thought Antigua really got into this game. They were looking to try and tie the game up. Seattle started to look wobbly at the back, and they paid the price in the 25th minute as Santis would score from Silva to tie the game up at one apiece. The Sounders thought that the offside flag should have came up on the development play, but the flag didn't come up. I did look at it a couple of times on replay. It is very close. I probably feel like they should have gone to VAR in this, but who who do I know? This is CONCACAF. We even in the era of VAR, if it's going to be a close call, usually it's not going to benefit an MLS team. In the 32nd minute, Ardon would puts it high from long range, and the Sounders continued to look wobbly and looked like they were on the ropes a bit because the momentum was with the Guatemalan side. And I thought also at times the Sounders had trouble in terms of dealing with Antigua high line. Antigua was playing really high line and was keep winning the ball high up the pitch. So in the 39th minute, Fiera would hits it right to Moron before he puts it high on the free kick just 1 minute later as the Sounders started to get back into this game with the possession. They were looking to try to get the lead back, but we do head to halftime with the score tied up at one apiece. In the second half, Fiera would had a shot that was actually spilled by the goalkeeper of Antigua, and Morris was right there to try to pounce on it, but fortunate for Antigua and certainly for their goalkeeper, he able to cover it before Morris pounced on it. Not much chances really created in the second half. That was really the best chance, at least in the first 15 minutes. The Sounder, I thought they were still finding hard time to try to break down this Antigua team down. Well, it seems like they probably heard or at least saw what I wrote because literally a couple minutes after I wrote that, Pedro de la Vega would score. So he scored here from Vargas to make it 2-1 in favor of the Sounders. I didn't double check the CONCACAF website to see whether or not if this goal still belongs to Pedro de la Vega because realistically, this goal probably should have been given to Christian Rodon because it actually took a deflection off of him and it goes into the net. So anytime when a goal is scored, the guy that gets the credit of the goals usually is the guy last touched the ball, even if it's off a deflection. And I thought in this case that deflection clearly was a big part of the goal being scored because De La Vega shot. I think that probably would have been saved by the Antigua goalkeeper, but no, they still give the goal to Pedro De La Vega. And while I know Christian would be a little bit annoyed that it wasn't given to him since he got the last touch, I don't think the Sounders would care. They were leading again in this one. Santis then curls it just wide in the 70th minute. As I thought the Sounders again, they got to be careful because once again Antigua respond well. They did a really good job in this game, not really just crumbling. They were hanging in there, and they were now starting to have some momentum, looking to tie the game up. Apelaza then heads it wide from close in the 72nd minute before Robinson would heads it wide from close range, and all of a sudden it's just a little bit of a sustained pressure from Antigua. The Sounders were clearly hanging on to this 2-1 lead. They're trying to preserve this crucial 2-1 away lead back to Seattle. The good news is they were able to do that and then some because right as we're about to blow for the full-time whistle, Albert Rusnak would score from Manungo to make it 3-1 in favor of the Sounders. This came off just a bad goal kick distribution by the Antigua goalkeeper, and the Sounders basically made the Guatemalan team paid. And in the end, the Sounders they get a 3-1 lead heading back to Seattle, which not only is more comfortable than 2-1, but seems like anytime when you have scored that many away goal, unless just a monumental collapse that the Sounders would have in the second leg, which I'm assuming that's not the case. The Sounders is not a team no known for collapse, especially we usually rarely see MLS team just completely drop the ball in their home leg against CONCACAF opposition. But they get a massive 3-1 win. The shots in this one, 12 shots for the 9 that the Sounders had, 4 shots on goal for the 1 that Antigua had, 7 shots off target for the 3 that the Sounders had, 3 shots that was blocked for the 4 that Antigua has, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to the 41% possession that Antigua has in this game. But now moving on into the last game of this review, and this is FC Cincinnati versus Montego. So just like this game, the scoreline maybe is a little bit misleading. Consider in the first half, it was relatively tight at time as well. But then the second half happened, and the second half Cincinnati just run away with this game. And it's safe to say that just like what I said about Seattle getting instant impact for their all season signing, Cincinnati also have done the same case with their big offseason signing as well. So early on, as expected, Cincinnati clearly looked like they were very rusty off the gate. They were clearly trying to shake off that rust as they built back their competitive edge. I also thought that the atmosphere was absolutely electric. I mean, despite the fact that it was kind of a half-empty stadium, there was a lot of empty seats. The Montegra fan, you can clearly hear their presence. Now, I'm not sure is that mainly due to the CONCACAF fee kind of jacked up the volume because there are some games where the volume of the stadium is just really quiet. But that being said, it was absolutely electric. I definitely did not expect that from the Honduran team. So props to them to create that kind of atmosphere. And they pretty much kept singing throughout the entire game as well. Even when they were down big, they were still singing, and they even shoot all the fireworks to kind of celebrate, just kind of almost like a party atmosphere for that crowd. But in the 11th minute, Bear had a little shot cross that was actually tipped behind by Rokia, but once again the ref missed that tip and said it was a goal kick as well. Again, second time uh, tonight we saw the referee should have given a corner instead of a goal kick. But there was only one shot for the first 15 minutes of this game. Apparently, the Bear shot cross didn't count as a shot, according to the CONCACAF website. But in the 20th minute, Sanatano would deny Mejia, but then there was just a chaos resume where the ball was really just kind of pinball around the box there, and that included a post being hit and the ball clear off the line as well. So yeah, Cincinnati. They are very lucky the fact that they were not down 1-0 at that point. I mean, that's just one of those incidents of how in the world did the ball not go into the back of the net. And I also wrote Cincinnati, they dodged a huge bullet here because that absolutely should have been 1-0 in favor of Montegua. Wobodo then blasted high as that was Cincinnati first shot in the 25th minute because again, the Bears shot cross according to the CONCACAF website did not count as a shot. But then in the 28th minute, Cincinnati would take the lead. It's Pavel Buka, the one that gets the opening goal from Cincinnati. He got the rebound off of a block and just absolutely laser that one in the top left corner. I know Pavel Buka has had the ability to score goals before last season, but I didn't think that he could score golazo, especially multiple goals in this game as he we'll find out here, of course, to do in this one. But yeah, just like that, Cincinnati were leading 1-0. Dinke then looked for another, but he was denied by Rokia in the 36th minute. The confidence was definitely there from Cincinnati. It feels like that off-season rust has clearly shaked off. They look like they're back at their best and was pressing for a second goal. Buka would then send one high from close range, but then the 42nd minute, Azumendi would score from Gomez to tie the game up at one apiece from Tegra, and really it was kind of against the run of plays because up to that point, I thought Cincinnati were looking to try to get that second goal, and all of a sudden, man, Montegra go on the other end, and just like that, it was tied up at one apiece, and they tried to carry that momentum too, heading late in the halftime as they were pushing to get the lead. Tano had to deny Mejia from close range, and thankfully for Cincinnati, they were able to head to the locker room with the score being at 1-1 because if it was a couple more minutes more in this one. Something tells me Montego probably could have got the lead, especially this is when the home fans was at its loudest. In the second half, we saw Saratano denied Cordoza off the volley, but then in the 49th minute, there it is. Kevin Dinke, his first of what probably could be many goal that he would score for this FC Cincinnati side. He scored from angle to give the lead back for Cincinnati. So again, this is a big night when it comes to their new signing, not only getting Kevin Denke the goal scoring to start, but also getting one of their new signing and their fullback Angle back into this team. And keep in mind, what's even crazier about this game, and well, some may say yes, it's against Montegua. Cincinnati didn't even have Lucas Origiano in this game. Imagine if they had Lucas Origiano in this game. I mean, this attack for Cincinnati can all of a sudden look really scary again. Dinke then looked for another, but he puts it wide in the 58th minute. Cincinnati was definitely feeling it again. They were pressing hard to get that third goal, and this is when they really just took over the game. Like they were not allowing Montegra any chances whatsoever. Kubo would then puts it wide from long range before Denke puts it high from close in the 67 minutes. The shots were 9-7 for Cincinnati up to this point. They were pressing hard for the third goal. This is also when Evander was subbed in for the first time for Cincinnati, and his first opportunity puts it high from long range. Montegra, I thought did kind of start to put some pressure, but for the most part, I thought Cincinnati has done well in terms of limiting those big chances, and because of that, in the 77th minute, they make it 3-1, and it's Pavel Buka again. He scored from Evander to make it 3-1 in favor of Cincinnati. So again, another big moment here for the newcomer for Cincinnati. Evander getting his first of what maybe could be many assists that this he would get for the Cincinnati side. Dinke was in on goal there, but he was denied by Kia. I mean, Denke could have easily had a hat trick in this game as well. Vasquez then puts it wide on a rare opportunity for Montegra in the second half, but then in the 87th minute, Evander gets on the score sheet for the first time for Cincinnati. He scored from Alvis Powell to make it 4-1 in favor of Cincinnati, and that would be the final score of this game. A dominant performance in the first leg against Montegra, and just like when I said that, I think Seattle probably has done enough against Antigua heading into the next leg. You can say the same thing about Cincinnati. I mean, that 4-1 lead pretty much all but all over heading into the second leg. In fact, I think Pat Nolan might even have the luxury of just maybe resting his guys against Montegra heading into the second leg, because when you're up big like this, there's really no need to put more players into the team, knowing that you're gonna have these next 10 days where you're going to have to play four games in 10 days, by both balancing CONCACAF play and also MLS play. Shots in this one: 10 shots compared to 14 that Cincinnati had, 7 shots on goal for the 4 that Montegra has, 3 shots off target for the 6 that Cincinnati has, 2 shots on block for the 1 that Montegra has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that Montegra has in this game. But yeah, there you have it. That was a very quick recap in terms of the 4 games that we saw in terms of CONCACAF play involving being a MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Again, it is still early days, but so far MLS has looked really impressive, at least in this first round. I expect, as they now get into the deeper round, that would be very interesting, especially when they face against Liga MX. So that's usually what kind of the measuring stick is. But right now, as I said, most of these teams have got off to a good start, and for the most part, most of these resort has been relatively predictable as well. The teams that I feel like is probably going to move on into the next round are doing so. The only surprising factor, maybe the Colorado and LAFC game, but even then, it feels like LAFC getting that away goal. What a big away goal that was. Now that all they need to do is win even 1-0 against the Rapids, and they'll move on into the next round as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Like I said, with the review of these 4 games. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.